Hey everybody, welcome to Garden Time with Belle. Well, we cannot have beautiful, gorgeous plants unless we water them. So today's video is going to be all about drip irrigation. This isn't really going to be a tutorial because I have other videos in my series on our drip irrigation system, but I am going to bring you along as we put in new drip irrigation into our renovated raised bed garden, which is right outside my greenhouse over here. Those of you that follow my channel know that we have, over the course of the last year, renovated our raised bed. We took the original wooden boxes that my husband built initially several years ago, and we purchased Birdie's raised beds and we installed those. Actually, my husband, really did all of the hard, heavy lifting and working. So I can't wait to show you a little bit about that. If you watched my March garden tour that I just published not long ago, about a week ago, you'll get to see that sneak peek at the raised bed garden. But today really is the time that we need to be worrying about getting it ready to irrigate. Because here it is, the very first part of April, and now we can start to think about, in the next week or two, turning on drip irrigation. So we're going to need a lot of supplies for this, and so I'm going to explain what all these parts are. One of the things that we love about drip irrigation, and there are so many great things about it, but one of the things that's amazing about it is we set up all of our drip irrigation not only in our raised bed garden, but in our garden beds around our home that have the perennials and shrubs and beautiful flowers. Those are on drip irrigation too, and we use timers. These are not very expensive, and oh my goodness, they can take the guesswork out of watering your plants. They can allow us to be gone for a long weekend because we know that our plants are going to get consistent moisture. The other thing, if there's time for me to do today, is I need to re-sow my sugar snap peas. Oh my goodness, I think oh gosh, I don't know when I sowed those seeds out there with my lettuce and spinach and all that. Everything else germinated. My carrots, my lettuce, my spinach, my cilantro. But my sugar snap peas did not germinate, and I planted about, let's see, about 20 seeds. And so I did a little research and I sort of had forgotten, but one of the recommendations, because these seeds are so huge, is that you can soak them 2 to 4 hours before you plant, because they are big, heavy-duty seeds that with a really thick shell. And so supposedly this is going to help speed up the germination. So yeah, I need to try again on my sugar snap peas. So I'm going to be planting these out today to replace the pea seeds that never germinated. So before I take you outside and we get involved in this really important project, I'm going to invite everybody to please like and subscribe to my channel. Those of you that are already subscribing, thank you so much for being here. Those of you that haven't, liking, subscribing, commenting below helps my channel grow. You know, YouTube is a crazy thing in that you're never quite sure what's going to resonate with viewers, but the more subscribers, the more likes I get, the more comments. For some reason, the YouTube gods, the algorithm as they call it, tends to make sure that those videos get pushed out for other gardeners just like you. So if you could do that, I would really be grateful. So in just a minute, we're going to load up all of our gear. We're going to get it out in the raised bed, and I'm going to bring you along and show you what we have yet to do to get our raised beds ready for what we hope is going to be a wonderful 2026 season. Okay, so we made our way out to the raised bed garden, and I've set up my little station here because my job right now, while Alan is working on prepping the main line, my job is to cut this to the same length, and I'm going to need 16 of these. We have decided that on our 4x8 beds, we're going to run 4 of these lengthwise in each bed for some really good coverage. So yeah, that's all I'm going to be tasked with at this point, and then we will show you how we will attach these to the 1/2-inch main tubing that brings the water to the garden. So yeah, that's all I need to do. So I've got to set up my little station here and get to cutting. So I thought, while I'm just sitting here measuring this out, I might share with you a little bit about why drip irrigation is so wonderful, besides what I shared with you inside the greenhouse about, you know, especially if you put your drip irrigation on timers, what's really great about it is that you're watering at the soil surface. So that means a couple of things. You're not wasting water by, you know, like the old sprinklers, how we used to water our gardens. You know, you waste so much water because it never really makes it deep down into the soil. I mean, this is dripping right on the soil and running for a certain length of time. And so that water is going to go deep, deep, deep to moisten the soil so that the roots of our plants will reach out deep, deep, deep. For that important moisture to grow. And you want deep roots as much as you can on your plants, because what that does is that builds up a sturdier plant. When you have nice, deep, healthy roots, it holds your plants nice and strong in the soil so that they don't blow over or bend, that kind of thing. So that's one other really great benefit to drip irrigation, is you're watering at the soil surface so you can water deeply. I think I already sort of mentioned another benefit of drip irrigation, and that is that you don't waste water, right? Water is, especially for some of you, depending upon where you live in the country, water is a scarce commodity, and so we don't want to be wasting water for sure. Another benefit for drip irrigation is that you're not overhead watering. And what that means basically is when we, in the old days, used to water with sprinklers, overhead watering, you're soaking down the foliage on your plants, right? And in my hot and humid gardening zone here in mid-Missouri, that water will stay on the leaves of my plants. And that's not really good for your plants, because that can introduce all kinds of issues for your plants, especially if the water hits the soil from overhead watering. It could splash that soil up on the foliage of your plants and introduce any kind of pathogens that you might have in your soil. Of course, you know that we try to invest in really high quality raised bed soil mix that has a lot of compost in it, and I amend the soil with all kinds of things that are healthy, that are organic. But you know, the less I can splash the soil up onto the foliage, the healthier my plants have been. That is for sure something I've noticed. So that's a real great benefit from using drip irrigation. I'm trying to think anything else that I could cite as a really great reason. Are you listening to any of this? Can you think of any other thing I didn't say about drip that's so good? You're just working? Okay, poking holes, all right. So yeah, but there are all kinds of tutorials online on how to install drip. Lots of different systems. This is a DIY. You know, it really is not that complicated. But if you're considering swapping over to drip irrigation, you know, watch some videos. I probably have some in my playlist that you all could watch. But there's lots of great videos on how to do this. And when we get ready to start attaching these to the main lines, I'm going to actually have Alan show us, you know, from where it comes out of the ground, how he has that set up, to all the way to where it's actually going to drip on the soil. So stay tuned for that. So Alan has agreed to explain a little bit more about this supply line and what he's done, how he's designed it. And again, there's not one right way to do any of this, but this is the way that we've chosen to do it. So since he did all the hard work and installation, I'm going to have him show us. But before he does, do you see the plastic here, everybody? I know that looks janky. It will not look janky after today, because the Birdie's raised beds come with this protective plastic coating, which is really nice. So I need to get that off of there. So anyway, so disregard that. Just let's have him tell us a little bit about how he's got it designed.
Okay, so what we've got, this is our main 1/2-inch supply, shut-off valve for each bed. Comes up elbows in, and it's teed all the way across a full 4-foot length, or at least where it works to supply water across the full width of it. Use a little tool like this to poke a hole in it, and then install. These are just a straight pickup or water pickup. And then what I'm going to do is basically moisten this and slide it over the top of that to attach it.
And he has really strong hands, everybody. I have a hard time doing this, and sometimes it depends on the manufacturer. There's all kinds of people out there that make drip irrigation supplies for the home gardener, DIY. And would you agree with that too,
Yep.
Alan? Yeah. I don't really remember even what brand this is. I'll probably...
Should be Rainbird if I remember.
Yeah, I'll provide a link in the description below for you guys. So, okay, so that's our first one. And I'm gonna back up here a little bit and just let him go ahead and attach.
And sometimes it kind of helps just to circular rotate it on, because
twist it like that?
yeah,
Okay.
because it's not gonna just, for me it doesn't seem like it ever wants to just push straight on.
You know, it's a hassle that it's so tight, but on the other hand, you want it tight enough that they're not popping off.
Yeah,
Right.
and this is a low pressure system, and you're going to have a pressure regulator on it to get it under 20 psi.
Is that pounds?
Pounds per square inch of pressure, because anything more than that, if you were to run just your, well, let's go ahead and check everything and run a garden hose on it without that pressure regulator on there, then
Yeah.
you'd have to reattach all your elbows, or at least
It'd blow it all out,
it would
huh?
it would blow it apart.
Oh my gosh, okay. Yeah, so that is really important. We haven't really talked a lot about that, and again, I'm going to have you guys do your own research, but he's right. There are a lot of things that need to go on the main line where your water source is coming from. You've got the pressure regulator he talked about. You have to put on a backflow preventer.
Yep.
You know, before it ever kind of leaves the house and comes down to your garden. So again, do your research just to make sure it's going to be safe and work well for you. Okay, I'm going to back up a little bit so I can get him and try to get me out of the frame with the shadows. We're working on this in the afternoon, so of course the shadows are longer in the sky. But you could never have enough landscape staples, let me just say. When you do drip irrigation, oh my goodness sakes, we use them all the time. But everybody, this is the perfect time to be doing these projects because, you know, gosh, in about a month, I'm going to be putting my plants in. I'm going to be putting in my cut flowers and tomatoes and peppers and everything. So, you know, you want to get it set up and you want to test it all to get it ready to go. And then you can just have fun with all the planting. Come around this way. And then one of the things I'll have Alan show you is, of course, you have to end your line. You have to plug that cut end there. And they're called like little dummy plugs. I'm gonna go grab some and we'll show you. Oh, there they are, thank you. And again, you know, initially this takes a lot of time to set up, but it is so worth it. Oh, I've not seen any like this. Okay, so let's see if you all can see it in my hand. You see this? So this is the cap that we will be putting in the end of the lines so that they stop dripping and don't gush out at the end of the bed. All right. As I was opening up this bag, I saw, oh, we've got a couple of different varieties. They serve the same purpose to plug the end. This one doesn't have a little cap so much, so yeah. So that's all there is to it. Ha ha ha. Okay, there it is. And we'll just be pinning these down on the end. So this bed is finished. We've got one bed finished, 8 to go. So I need to get back over there and start cutting some links for those 3 tall birdies beds. And yeah, we'll capture some of the installation, and then I'll give you a little tour when we're all done. And gosh, really excited to have this project almost complete, and that just means lots and lots of great growing this year. So I mentioned to you all when I was in the greenhouse that I need to reseed my sugar snap peas. Yep, I planted these sugar snap pea seeds the same day I planted all the other stuff, and everything else germinated, but I don't know why these didn't come up. So I took the advice of soaking the seeds, and so I've got them here in my little baggie. They've been soaking for, let's see here, almost 4 hours. So that's about the length of time they recommend. So I'm gonna get them in the ground. Sugar snap peas seeds need to go about 1 inch deep. I'm not going to put any biotone or starter fertilizer in the soil because I did that the first time around, so I don't need to add anything else to the soil. I am going to use my little chopstick. I've shown you all this before. I took a Sharpie and I marked 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, full inch, couple inches. And so this is a trick if you're not sure if you're putting your seeds at the right depth. Just use one of these. So I'm going to push it down in the soil about 1 inch deep, make a little hole, and that's where my seeds are going to go. Forgot to push record on the camera, but I only have a couple things left to do, and that would be, this is my garlic bed, almost said garlic bread, and I've been taking off the straw because should have done that first before we ran our drip lines. But anyhow, yeah, so I need to pin these down, and then I'm going to put the straw mulch back on top. Now let me see, where did we put? Oh, there they are. Okay, good. All right. You know, I love growing garlic, and it's quite an interesting crop to grow. You plant the cloves in October, and then you don't harvest your big heads of garlic until the next late June or July, early July. So, you know, it takes a long time, but it's actually one of the easiest things to grow. And if you cook like I do, you cannot have enough garlic. And the garlic that I grow tends to store really well. In fact, I just gave my son and daughter-in-law a little bit of garlic yesterday that I had left over from my harvest last year. So we're just about to the end of the harvest. All right. All that's left is to get this straw back on top of the drip. All of this thick straw really protects your garlic through our harsh winters, so if it looks like a lot, there's a reason for that. So I'll just pat it back down, and then probably when the weather really warms up in another month or so, I'll remove all but a thin layer of the straw to act as a mulch. All right, last thing before I give you a full tour of the completed drip irrigation, I need to water in those pea seeds that I sowed today. Well, I think that's going to about do it for today's video. I am delighted that we got so much accomplished. I mean, we got all the drip swapped out, replaced, brand new lines, got them pinned down. I mean, I could not be more excited that we can check this big spring project off the list. You know, I want to make sure and convey that drip is not foolproof. As much as I love using drip irrigation to water my beds, you have to maintain it. You have to watch. You have to make sure, you know, that none of the connections have slipped. That rarely happens for us, actually, but you know, you do have to keep your eye on it, because it's so important that your plants are getting the right amount of irrigation, the right amount of watering, so that they're going to be healthy and produce all those beautiful flowers and veggies and herbs that you want in your garden. So anyhow, oh, I'm so glad you hung out with me today. I will try to find a link to a really good video that will take you step by step through putting together drip irrigation for a raised bed system like ours. For those of you that have been wondering about it, maybe that'll be even more inspiration for you to give it a try. And you know, if you just want to dip your toe in, you can get drip kits for just maybe one bed, a very small space. Give that a try and see how that works out for you. And if you're like a lot of us, especially like me, you're going to start out with one bed, 2, 3, and then before you know it, you're going to have 9 raised beds in your garden and lots of drip irrigation. But anyhow, so thanks so much for hanging out today in the garden with me. And as always, I wish everybody out there happy gardening.